I'm Carl Brookins. I'm a mystery author. On my left, your right, is a woman named Ellen Hart, who is another mystery writer. And on the other side of us is Kent Kruger, who is the third member of a group called the Minnesota Crime Wave. Before we get very far into this thing we call a program here, I want to say a public thank you to CTV 15 and the volunteers and everybody else who's involved and backstage. You'll see their names and meet them sometime later on. But we're very appreciative of the fact that they're available to help us do all of the things that we can't. And that's not a lie. That's an honest truth. Even though what we do is tell lies. Fiction. We're fiction authors. We're the Minnesota Crime Wave, and we've been in business, what'd you say?
7.5 years.
7.5 years. Why?
Well, mostly because it's a lot of fun.
Oh, okay, all right. Long as you've got the floor, so to speak, or the table, why don't you tell us about Cork O'Connor and your writing?
All right, I write the Cork O'Connor mystery series, which is set in the great North Woods of Minnesota, pretty much hard up against the Iron Range. My protagonist is a guy named Cork O'Connor. He's the former sheriff of the fictional Tamarack County, Minnesota. He's part Irish and he's part Ojibwe, which I like because it allows me to deal with issues then that arise out of the interface of those two cultures. I do that a lot, but I don't really write issue mysteries. Mostly I write mystery, suspense, adventure novels of highly literary quality.
Of course. Sort of
poetic.
Poetic, thank you.
Yes.
I like
that. Pretty much covers everything except cozies, doesn't
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do next.
I write cozies.
That's what you're going to do. And you write cozy. You write, well, no, you write traditional mysteries. I don't, because I review mysteries. One of the things I don't like a lot is that word because it's used in such a pejorative manner. And your mysteries are not pejorative in any way. You really write traditional mysteries. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I do. I think I started out, I'm currently working on my 25th mystery. When I started out, I was reading more English, traditional English mysteries. And so that was reflected in what I wrote. But I think that the Jane Lawless series, which is my longest running series, has gotten darker in the last maybe 4 or 5 books. And I suppose that again reflects what I'm reading.
Okay, so I mean that's something that people have said about a lot of writers who write traditional mysteries, that they start out on a lighter vein and gradually get. You suppose that's because of the publishing business, or because it's just what you're reading?
No, I don't know why it is, but I think that's true. I think Jim Wang was the first one to point that out to us. A wonderful bookseller in Indianapolis, and is it Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Wherever he is, yeah.
Carmel.
Well, you've
Carmel, yeah.
Carmel or Carmel.
But I think that's true. It's certainly true for me, and it's because the more I have, I think, understood the mystery form, the more I've realized that you can use it as a vehicle to explore what it is to be human, what it is to make mistakes, what it is to make very serious mistakes, and you get to look at moral issues. I was always very impressed by P.D. James, who's another wonderful mystery writer, English writer. She always talked about the moral universe, and I always thought, setting her books within the moral universe, and whether or not you believe we live in a moral universe, I think we all do talk about ethical and moral questions.
I wonder, too, if it's partly the result of exploring the darkness. Mm-hmm. It becomes a fascinating thing for you, and you do want to get into it deeper and understand it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a general, according to Jim Wang, it's a general trend for mystery writers, not just traditional, to become darker and darker as their series go on.
So the ultimate is like a black hole, and we all fall into nothing. Is that what? I don't want
Carl the optimist.
Well, it has to be said that our books, they are popular fiction. Mm-hmm. And there's popular fiction exists to entertain, and so our books are also very entertaining, and sometimes they're humorous, and that we aren't so boring so deeply into twigs that we don't we aren't
boring deeply into twigs.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that one before.
Oh, that's what we used to talk about. I used to go to this religious college, and if there wasn't a lot there, and you talked about it for any great length of time, people would say, well, you're boring deeply into twigs. There's nothing there.
We're not going to do that.
We're not gonna do that,
No,
no,
not on this
no,
show. We're
no,
not going to do that. A little later, we're going to have a National Book Award winner, Pete Hauptmann, on as a guest. And we're going to talk about some other things, some books and a whole bunch of things like that. But let me tell you, since
You talk about
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the books that I write. I actually write 3 series. So I got all those subgenres you just
Yeah.
mentioned, don't I?
You do.
Adventures, because I write the sailing series.
You devote a series to each of those.
Yeah.
And I write a PI series set in Minneapolis, and now a new kind of a traditional, because he's an amateur PI, a guy who's that's based on my 25 years in working in academia. It's called an academic mystery. I'm not really happy with all those labels and those kinds of things because I don't know. I just think that labels are dangerous sometimes.
And they're limiting.
And they're limiting, exactly. So a lot of blood and guts and sex and violence in your mysteries?
If it will sell books, yes. No.
And
You're
what about
so
the literary?
I have my scruples. There are places I won't go, but,
And what about
but I'm
those-
certainly darker and more violent and probably more sexual than either of you guys, I would guess.
Think so?
Yeah.
How about you?
You know, because I write in the mystery tradition that's the traditional mystery tradition. No, I don't. They don't include sex scenes, and you know, we may take you to the bedroom door, but you don't go in.
Aren't you the one who said we don't want to see what's her name, Miss Marple in the?
Well, we don't see Miss Marple in the bushes
With her
Without
knickers
her-
down.
with her knickers down, right? And nor would we want to. So no, I don't write that.
And you've written 24
4.
novels in 2 series. One series is a food series.
The Sophie Greenway, I'm no longer writing those. I wrote 8, and we're done with that now. But I still write the Jane Lawless series, which is, Jane is a restaurant owner. She's gay. She's doing more and more actual sleuthing. She's an amateur sleuth, but she has, in the last few books, has palled up with a guy who is an ex-homicide detective. So she's actually doing some, in the next book, she will actually be doing some legitimate
Detecting.
PI work.
So she becomes kind of an amateur PI as
Yeah.
opposed to a professional PI.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting development.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
20 books, aren't you going to say, you look awfully young to have written 20
Yeah,
books?
you would have said that
Oh,
to
well,
me.
I could have
Yes,
said
you
it.
could have, but you didn't.
Well, I didn't. Sorry.
That's
I'll
all
try
right.
to say that to you. I'll try to say that to you next time.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to get back to some of these things in a minute. But now we're going to take a little break. We're going to take a break because we need to reset some things. And in just a minute, we'll be back with our first guest, Pete Hauptmann. Meanwhile, here's a little bit about some upcoming program topics that we think you might be interested in. We're back. And we have another mysteriously metamorphosed out of the ether, a guest, National Book Award winner, Pete Hauptmann. And you've got some burning questions for the man, don't you?
I do.